The two most important games in the Big 12 tonight are kicking off at the same time. The Aggies host Nebraska, trying to keep their hopes alive in the Big 12 South. And 95.4 miles to the northwest, Baylor hosts Oklahoma right here in Waco. Their wish to slow down the Sooner Schooner as Robert Griffin III will test his magic against the Crimson and Cream. RG3 came to Waco on a track scholarship and immediately became an All-American hurdler. Is he the fastest quarterback in the country? Most defensive coordinators simply don't want to argue. OU's Landry Jones wants to test his receivers against the Baylor defense. Ryan Broyles, 94 catches. And running back DeMarco Murray, 17 touchdowns, rushing and receiving. But the Baylor Bears have Jay Findlay, who can show almost 1,100 yards on his resume. Offensive weapons everywhere you look. Right here in the heart of Texas on a Saturday night. Hey, there'll be more than two-stepping around here, partner. OU Baylor, next. This is College Football Primetime on ESPN. From Waco, Texas, we bring you the Big 12 matchup between Oklahoma and Baylor. The standings in the Big 12 Conference, Oklahoma at 4-2, Baylor at 4-3. And for the Sooners, they need a win tonight. They need a win next Saturday to move into the conference championship game. Hello, everybody. Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham. And Ed, we look at an Oklahoma team that at the beginning of the year, I thought, hey, they were dynamite on offense. I think they're even better right now and seem to be getting better every ball game.
A lot of that has to do with Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator, was telling us their offensive line finally has some depth. They play so many plays per game, they can stay fresh. But with the three top line guys on this offense, of course they're going to be explosive. Landry Jones, who took over for Sam Bradford last year after the Baylor game, has passed for 3,000 yards, 66%, only 6 interceptions. DeMarco Murray breaking all kinds of career records this season. And Ryan Broyles leads the country at nearly 10 catches per game.
For Baylor, you're going to get to meet a young guy tonight by the name of Jay Findlay. And you say, who is Jay? You're going to find out. The young man can go over 1,100 yards for the season tonight. And Ed, to me, it seems as though every time there's a big game, that's when his star gets even brighter.
Yeah, Jay Findlay, 169 yards last week against Texas A&M. He could break the single-season record for rushing here at Baylor. A senior, a big night for him, a guy who had some ankle problems last year, had some surgery, finally getting himself healthy. And I really think he's been the difference for Baylor in the second half of the season. Their last 8 touchdowns have come from the run. That's pretty unusual for an Art Briles team.
Just a little bit earlier, Ed had an opportunity to talk with Baylor head coach Art Briles about this season and tonight's ball game.
We have had a few firsts this year, but our deal is just fight to the finish and win. That's what we're going to do, and that's how we talked about all along. We play one-game seasons. This is another season day, and we got a good Oklahoma team we got to get after.
And here come the Baylor Bears. So we will be back to Waco shortly, and the kickoff right around the corner.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Philips Norelco, the #1 electric razor, and Toshiba, leading innovation.
How about that full moon over Waco, Texas tonight as we take a look at the head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners, Bob Stoops, getting harnessed up with his headset over on the sideline. Had an opportunity to visit with him in his walkthrough this morning. And he likes the arrangement that is going to come next year with everybody playing everybody in the Big 12 Conference.
I think a lot of people have thought the Big 12 was left for dead when Colorado and Nebraska left. But I think this conference with Oklahoma and all the guys they have coming back, A&M playing better, you got to figure Texas is going to rebound. This is going to be an awfully difficult conference next season.
And for Art Briles, you see his record overall, but I'll tell you one of the things, and they have not tried to beat it into the kids this week, but everybody knows it. They are 0-19 against the Oklahoma Sooners. The coin toss, Baylor wins. They will defer. Oklahoma will receive. And one of the things that we have to take note of, Oklahoma on the road, as good as they are, look at how they have done. They have struggled on the road.
And that question of why you haven't played well this year started to irk Bob Stoops enough that he cut back on the media availability of players, made just 5 players available because he got tired of that question being asked of his players.
This is Clay at the goal line. Going to be hit with an ankle-high tackle at the 16-yard line. So the Bears will force the Oklahoma Sooners to scrimmage from not-so-good field position. Landry Jones out of Artesia, New Mexico, 6'4", 219 pounds. He's got some great numbers this year.
Guy who took over last year when Sam Bradford was injured in the Texas game after the Baylor game. Baylor game was the last game that Bradford played full, but had a whole season to work out and has really taken command of this offense.
Pass on first down, throws it complete, and that is Trey Franks who was there. And then the hit by a couple of Baylor Bears. Mikhail Baker, one of the first men to get over and make contact.
And if you're not used to what Oklahoma does offensively, watch how quickly they snap this ball. They are one of the fastest teams in the country between plays.
Ben Habern out of the football. And you see what Ed's talking about. That ball is snapped already. Blitz coming off the corner. Oklahoma throws in that direction, and it's Murray. Gets by the first man. He'll have the first down as he takes it out to around the 34.
Good job by Landry Jones that time. A blitz came that was unblocked. The reason it was unblocked was because Murray snuck out. He very calmly threw it over there, threw an accurate pass that allowed Murray, who is so good out of the backfield, over 50 catches on the season. Nice throw by Landry Jones.
Jean-Baptiste a little slow in getting back as the high snap almost got away from Landry. He makes his own recovery. Now let's take a look at tonight's impact players, brought to you by Liberty Mutual.
Well, for Oklahoma, Kenny Stills, a young freshman who got in some trouble last week when he spiked the ball against Texas Tech, but he is a big-time talent. And Byron Landor leads the country in tackles for defensive backs with over 100. And he's going to have to be very active.
On the defense, snap the ball. 12 players are on the field. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Scott Novak is the referee tonight. You see Art Briles not pleased with his defensive unit, or with the officials, actually. He doesn't agree with the call.
But, this secondary for Baylor with Landor leading all those tackles. They're short. Chance Casey, one of their better cornerbacks. They've got some linebacker issues with injuries. They're pretty patched up.
Second down, got it complete, and that's Broyles. And we'll call his name a lot tonight. As Ed mentioned off the top of the telecast, though, little bit of an issue with an ankle. And it may take him a little bit to get totally warm. Already they snap it. Quick pass goes to Broyles. Tries to turn it upfield. He does the wise thing. He gets as much as he can and then steps out of bounds. And it was Mikhail Baker who was out there to shove him out. When you're no bigger than he is, there's no sense in taking the punishment. Don't absorb it. No. Get what you can to get out of
survive and play another play. But they're starting to find different ways to get Broyles involved. He used to just be a slot receiver. They'll leave him on the field as a single receiver side when they bring big personnel in. But you're right, during warm-ups, he did not look 100%, but a guy who's gutted it out all season.
Landry Jones got it complete, very close to the line for the first down. And in fact, where the linesman is coming in, I would say yes, they would move the sticks. Broyles again on the receiving end. And you need to understand, when we talk with the coaches, one of the things that they mentioned this weekend was, we need him on the field, and not only every play, we'd like to have the ball in his hands every play.
Well, they're just about doing it so far.
Just about doing it. He is so good in space. Jones again, little pitch and catch, and this one is complete to Kenny Stills, being thrown backwards, but it's a gain of 3.
Now, Stills, a guy who last week got so excited after a touchdown, he did a spike, and Ryan Broyles was the first one to run away from him on the sideline, knowing what was coming.
This time they roll the pocket. Pass is delivered too high, incomplete at the 26. That was Broyles they were looking for.
Well, now Baylor needs a stop, and you can hear the crowd getting into it.
Third down.
Yeah, Brian Norwood, the defensive coordinator from Baylor. Looks like they've got a 3-man defensive line, so let's see if they're going to bring pressure or if they're trying to mess with Oklahoma up front and only rush 4 but not show you where the 4th is coming from.
This is the 9th play of the Oklahoma drive. Blitz off the corner, and they throw to Murray. Turns it up inside the 40. He's going to be short of the first down by 3 yards. It was Tyler Stevenson, a freshman out of Lancaster, Texas, who got out there to make the stop.
And Oklahoma going to go for it because there's wind in the face of the kicker. Patrick O'Hara's their long-distance kicker. So if I'm Baylor, I would think this might be like a DeMarco Murray draw or possibly a screen.
Fourth down, looking, ball is intercepted by Baylor, and that's Gary Mason Jr. And Mason will take it up the sidelines and is finally knocked out of bounds inside the 40, and there is a flag down.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct on the defense, number 13. 15-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. First down, Baylor.
Tracy Robertson is the man, and you see the head coach addressing him on the sideline.
Well, watch as Murray sneaks out, and Gary Mason gets blocked right at the line of scrimmage, but starts reading the eyes, and that's a real tough one on the quarterback. It goes down as interception, but you don't expect the defensive lineman to be there working one-on-one against Donald Stevenson. And that was not going to be a screen, so you might think, why wouldn't Stevenson cut that guy? That was an out in the route. As Murray went through, he just settled down right behind the defensive end. What a nice play by Mason.
So the Baylor Bears, after the penalty, get it at their own 46-yard line. Pressure off the wing, and the ball is thrown incomplete. And it was Robert Griffin III on the throw, and he kind of mainlined that one a little bit harder than it needed to be. Copperas Cove, Texas is his home, a little bit south of here and west of here.
First Baylor quarterback in the history of the school to throw for over 3,000 yards in a season. A lot of firsts this year for Baylor. If they win tonight, the first time they've won 8 games since 1991. That was so long ago, I was still in college.
Robert Griffin last week on a quarterback keeper went 71 yards for a touchdown against Texas. He went 80 yards for a touchdown. Throws this one complete out on the wing at the 50-yard line, and the receiver being driven back after a gain of about 4 yards. It's Lanier Sampson, the sophomore out of Mesquite, Texas, and defensively DeMontre Hurst.
Baylor does such a nice job of spreading you out, not only with their receivers, but their offensive line. They'll spread you out. And to me, this is maybe a Robert Griffin. They do a lot where he takes off to run, and then he'll throw like a wide receiver screen. So hard to defend. You're not sure what he's going to do.
Empty backfield. That's Salubi that came out in motion. Quick look-in pass, and he threw it. Again, maybe the emotions are a little too high. He's really winging the ball on short throws. Impact players brought to you by Liberty Mutual.
Kendall Wright, who could become the career leader in receptions tonight for Baylor. Good speed down the field. And Jeremy Beal, all he has done the last few years is produce. He leads the conference in both sacks, tackles for loss, having a nice senior season.
Eric Epperson in punt formation for the Bears.
Epperson standing back to punt. Now, the wind has subsided a bit. It's going to be fake, and somebody moved, and they just wasted a trick play. The ball was direct snap to Trahan.
Number 33, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Boy. And it impossible to tell if it was going to work or not. But that, of all the times to get somebody moving early, now the penalty moves it back. It is a 4th down and 11, and they go back in punt formation, and you feel as though that they would punt for real this time. Here's the kick. Saying looks like a kickoff. It was going end over end. Take a timeout. No score. Baylor and Oklahoma.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
And now let's take a look at our FaceTime profile, brought to you by Edward Jones.
Well, injury or not, Ryan Broyles is having a sensational year and a career. The only records that he doesn't have is ones that he's tied with Mark Clayton. And I think that's actually apropos because he reminds me very much of Mark Clayton.
Pressure coming off the corner. Quick pass, and wow, what a hit on Trey Franks. Wendy Nix, let's check in with you at the studio.
Ron, thank you very much. It's a Taco Bell studio update. Mississippi State trying to win 8 regular season games for the first time since '99. Vic Ballard on the carry, and we're all tied up at 14.
Well, we're moving again here. Second down and 8. Pass out in the flat. Nobody covering Murray. Hang on. He's up the sideline, and he is gone. Murray in the swing pass, and nobody got out on the corner. I think that is going to be 76 yards for the touchdown.
Well, this is the second time that Murray has swung out and nobody's gone to cover. Right here, Antonio Johnson, the weak side linebacker, gets caught staring at Landry Jones and just doesn't get wide enough. Bad technique by the senior. Johnson allows Murray to get the corner, and then the safety's not at home either.
Wow. I'll tell you, that's a nice pitch and catch and a good job of Landry Jones and DeMarco Murray seeing what was going on. Jimmy Stevens with the extra point is up and good. 9:50 left in the opening quarter. Sooners strike first.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Chevrolet. Every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty. And Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
The Baylor Chamber of Commerce has been in charge of the live bear mascots at Baylor since 1917. And the bears, Joy and Lady, live in a habitat in the middle of campus. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that formation again with no wide receiver to that side and then sending DeMarco Murray in motion. Because a linebacker can't go out there. He just proved it.
No, you'd much rather have a strong safety, but Baylor was in there 4-3 set, so Johnson was out there and just got caught peeking back. He did not get enough whip in his drop.
Way with the kickoff down to the 8-yard line. And Dixon, who was going to be tackled at around the 23. Well, it all comes down to the final race of the season as the championship is on the line in a winner-take-all battle between Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, and Kevin Harvick for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship with the Ford 400 at Homestead, Miami. Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown at noon on ESPN2. And you can see the scenarios for all the 3 drivers down below their pictures there. Well, this running play with Jay Finley is going to go for virtually nothing. Now some pushing and shoving at the line of scrimmage.
We were watching the film yesterday of Finley against Texas A&M, and A&M playing very well defensively. Tim DeRuyter has done such a nice job there, but I'll tell you, this guy looks to me like someone who's going to play for a paycheck. He plays low. He's so quick at the line of scrimmage.
Quarterback keep, pass. That's Sampson out in the flat, and he's going to have about 7 yards on the play. Ed, let's take a look at your game plan for tonight's contest.
Well, for Oklahoma, work underneath, which they already have because Baylor plays their safeties so deep. And for Baylor, run between the tackles. Adrian Taylor, defensive tackle, out. Daniel Noble, defensive tackle, out. And we were talking to Brent Venables. He's very concerned about the middle of his defensive line tonight.
K'Ron Johnson, 49 in the ball game as the running play goes straight ahead. He's going to be short. K'Ron is 6'1", 295 pounds, and they put him in as Well, in that position, they used to call it a quail. He's a pheasant. He's not a little guy at 295 pounds, and they did not pick up the first down. And Ed, you surprised you're going to line it up as though they're going to go for it here.
Why not? You're already qualified for a bowl game. It's senior night. You're playing basically for pride. They've already qualified. I love this call. Go straight ahead. Big bodies.
K'Ron Johnson in the ball game again. They run behind him, but they got penetration. And with the penetration, the play is made by Austin Box, and it will be Oklahoma football. And folks, they get it at the 33-yard line.
Watch Austin Box right here. Wonderful job. Good job by the defensive line and everyone up front not letting someone get through to Box. And Box scrapes over. And what a wonderful low tackle by Box. He met Finley right at the line and was low man one. You hear all the time about leverage at the line of scrimmage. That was a nice job by Box getting his pads down and wrapping up Finley.
Finch in the ball game for Oklahoma, number 22. The speedy freshman out of Niceville, Florida. They give it to Murray. Murray turns the right side inside the 30 to the 29, and Landor is there to make the tackle for the Baylor Bears. 7-0 Oklahoma, and with the miss on fourth down, boy, the Sooners sitting in really good field position right here. Let's see if they can take advantage. The formation is fullback to the right. That's Millard. Tailback and another tailback behind, and the give is to Finch this time, and he'll be just short of the 25. Third down coming.
Well, if he looks like Quentin Griffin, it's not just the number, it's also the size. But Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator, said, I only had 1 year with Quentin Griffin, and Roy's got a little ways to go, but he's just a true freshman to be that polished.
To me, Finch is slimmer. Q was a little thicker. Yeah. Blitz in the middle. Pass out in the corner. It's caught by Stills. It'll be first down Oklahoma at the 13-yard line.
Well,
nice job of the offensive line.
Yeah, and Landry Jones, that was the thing in talking to Kevin Wilson about this offensive line. You know, they ended 09 with only 8 healthy guys. They now have 16, and this offensive line playing very well. And Landry Jones just looks like he's in total command. His feet are calm. The ball's coming out on time. He looks really sharp.
Same offensive set. Fullback, 2 tailbacks. Finch blocking. Touchdown, Oklahoma, DeMarco Murray.
Well, it takes you back a few years. It's almost like an inverse wishbone. And that's exactly the types of plays they were running. Watch the 2 backs. You get 2 lead blocks. Good block by Millard. Finch does a wonderful job getting a cut block, and Murray just reads it. That's an awfully tough formation to defend.
Stevens with the extra point, knocks it home, and the point is on the play. You normally don't get that good a block from one person, let alone 2. 14-0 Sooners. DeMarco Murray with 2 touchdowns in the ball game so far tonight, and 14-0 his team on top. And we were talking during the timeout about the formation. The fullbacks block, perfect. The halfbacks block, perfect. And then you got a speedster at Murray.
And now let's watch later in the game out of that formation. I bet you they have a misdirect off of that, and maybe even some type of reverse or something, because they're not just going to line up and run the backs all in the same direction. They've got something off of that, I guarantee it.
This kick is going to go 2 yards deep, and very smart move. He will not bring it out. Well, now time to take a look at this week's BCS standings, brought to you by Allstate.
Well, everyone in this part of the country, of course, wondering where TCU may end up. Auburn, tough game against Alabama next week, and then South Carolina in the SEC championship game. Unfortunately for TCU, only 1 game left, and that's against lowly New Mexico. Boise State looked outstanding last night against Fresno State, and then they get to play against a good ranked Nevada team. So don't be surprised if 4 jumps 3.
And we've just been told that down at College Station, that other very important game is 3-0. Nebraska on top. and a Sooner player shaken up. And the reason that it's Austin Box, the junior out of Enid, Oklahoma.
He's the guy who made the nice tackle on Finley on that 4th down.
Looks as though they're checking over that ankle.
Box, a guy who's been battling injuries his entire career.
He really has,
at
hasn't
Oklahoma, yeah.
And he showed on that one special play that he could be a special player. And I know that Coach Stoops hoping that he can keep him healthy for a length of time, because he is a great addition to whatever they try to do.
And they've got another guy, the freshman Tom Wart, who will step in there at middle linebacker that they think has a great future.
Ed, so far to show you what this Oklahoma defense has done, Baylor has 7 snaps, 13 yards, and 1 turnover. Bears will scrimmage from their own 20-yard line. Play action. Griffin rolls the pocket, and the ball overthrown and incomplete.
Of course, Robert Griffin III missed last season with a torn ACL. Missed most of last season. Played the first 3 ball games. And came back.
DeMontre Hurst, I think, tipped that ball. It was a little high anyway. Griffin hands it off to Finley. Turns the left side over the 25 out to around the 28-yard line, short of the first down by a couple. Tackle is made by Jonathan Nelson, and now the Baylor Bears faced with a 3rd down and 2. They need to take it to the 30-yard line.
Well, this offensive line for Baylor has been playing very well of late. I don't think you have to get fancy. I think Finley is one of the better backs in the conference. I think you, again, talk about running between the tackles. I think this is the perfect opportunity for that.
Finley ships from the left side over to the right. That's Brad Taylor, the tight end. And it's a quarterback keep, and hang on. Griffin, they got a hold of him as he was going across the 40. And you could hear the crowd screaming. As I told you, 71 yards last week for a touchdown, 80 yards against Texas.
Just a zone read play and a wonderful job. That's an actual fake. And then Finley becomes a lead blocker.
So they moved the sticks, and boy, did they need it. Quick out pass. Flag is down, and it is Kendall Wright who will be pushed out of bounds. And I'm afraid this has been thrown by the...
Personal foul. Shot block on the offense. Number 74. 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
So it was thrown by the umpire, as I said, and that means that somebody is engaged and a second person to hit that body low.
Well, there must have been some confusion up front, because Philip Blake immediately went to the right, working with Robert T. Griffin. These 2 guys, they used to call this the high-low, but nowadays it doesn't matter if they're engaged first or second up high. You cannot start. You can't have someone high and someone low.
That call is going to be made every time. And for anybody who wants to think there's some prejudice there that they're trying to get you for nothing, that's not the case.
But you know, as quick as that was, I'm not so sure that the offensive line, all of them weren't supposed to be cutting.
Play action to Finley. Griffin, and boy, look how they take care of the outside, but the long pass just a little too long to Josh Gordon. Gordon is only a sophomore out of Houston Lamar, and he is 6'3", 220, and has tremendous speed.
He got caught up just for a half a second with the defender when Griffin let that go. And this is a guy who broke his left index finger in last week's game. They weren't sure how much they were going to get out of him, but if he didn't get caught up with the defender, I think that's a touchdown for Baylor.
The amazing thing about him as well, and boy, they keep putting more trust in him. He just turned 19. He's a sophomore, so he came when he was 17 years old and played freshman football. Pass too hard, incomplete. It'll be 3rd down.
And Griffin's slow to get up. I believe that was Beal who hit him in the midsection, right in the ribs, as he was letting go of this ball. And he has on what's called the flak jacket underneath his pads, but sometimes you don't get all of those. And that's right where the pad, your shoulder pad, comes down, and you're not protected right there. That's the point of that rib.
Griffin on third down. Looking. Pressure. Gonna be sacked. First man, Jeremy Beal.
Beal's one of those guys. He's not very flashy. All he does is just continue to work. He's a studier of the game. He works really hard learning his techniques and what he's going to have to go against here, working against Ivory Wade, and just runs right by him. A short edge by Wade, not great technique, but Beal makes him pay nonetheless.
Baylor fortunate that they've got the wind behind them on this punting situation, and they're going to get the ball back. I don't think that's going to be running into. I think they're going to call Oklahoma for roughing the kicker. As the punt return up the far sideline may go the distance, but it's coming back. 20 at the 15 is Ryan Broyles, and you're going to hear some groans from the partisans from Oklahoma, and there are quite a few here tonight.
And that was Marcus Trice.
Yes.
Running into the kicker on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Replay, 4th down.
Well, for those booing, they're fortunate it was not roughing the kicker because he hit him pretty hard.
Well, that Oklahoma fan right there just did the cross arms like that looked like a personal foul to me.
Yeah.
It's good honesty by a Sooner fan. Well, that might have been a little bit of acting by Epperson, because when I saw it, Ron, and a nice job by Trice getting inside the block, when I saw it, I agreed with you. I thought it was roughing, but in review, I think that was the right call. But a huge break for Baylor nonetheless.
Terrific. Yeah, it's still 4th down, but Oklahoma had the ball beyond this point after the return by Broyles. So they get a chance to kick it all over again. With the wind, going to hit and now take an Oklahoma bounce, and Baylor has to touch it dead at around the 32-yard line. But now for our Big 12 Conference update, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Kansas fell to Oklahoma State. Kansas State lost to Colorado. 2 wins in a row for the Buffs. Texas Tech wins huge over Weber State. Texas over Florida Atlantic. Missouri 7-0 over Iowa State at halftime. And Nebraska 3-0 over A&M first quarter down at College Station.
And these are the 2 you're looking at in the Big 12. Of course, Oklahoma State with only 1 loss in the South, and Nebraska clinches the North with a win tonight or a win next week against Colorado.
This is Finch, and he will go straight ahead for about a yard, and that is it. Oklahoma State in a position now they still have to win at home next week over Oklahoma if they're going to go and play in the Big 12 championship game.
I may be the surprise of the college football season.
That is if Oklahoma wins tonight.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I think Oklahoma State, Dana Holgerson's been such a nice addition to their staff as offensive coordinator.
Pass high but caught by Stills, and the freshman continues to impress. Is Landry Jones with a nice job of pitch and catch there. It'll be first down Oklahoma.
This is a freshman class that Bob Stoops just raves about. Not just their ability, but they play well in big games. And he said by far the best class that they have ever had.
Murray, and this time Baylor is out there. Wow, what a hit. You could hear that, almost feel the concussion way up here. And that time they got somebody out in the corner. That somebody was Byron Landor.
Landor did a nice job, though. He had little Mighty Mike Finch diving at his ankles. He threw him down, and I know that he took the worst of the hit, but at least he made the tackle.
Murray and Finch in the backfield again. Oklahoma 14-0. Clock runs, 2:15 to play, opening quarter. Pass in the flat. This time it's Finch. Got it, and maybe back to the line of scrimmage. A lot of effort for what is going to be an all-even Steven thing. McAllister making the tackle, the middle linebacker.
Well, give Brian Norwood, the defensive coordinator, a little bit of credit here on the sidelines. Obviously working his linebackers and his safeties to get up and take the edge away a little bit, because they were getting killed on those swings and screens in the first couple of series.
Third down line to make is the 48 of Baylor. Landry Jones looking, and the ball is too high. Wow. That's quite a hit. That's what's going to happen when you make your receiver have to go that high and become vulnerable. It was Trey Franks, the freshman out of West Orange, start.
And a good stop for Baylor. Things had started to go against them a little bit. Their defense makes a couple of adjustments, did a nice job. You saw Landor over there protecting the edge instead of the linebacker Johnson on that play, the play earlier. So good adjustments by Baylor's defensive staff.
Ball is muffed. Oklahoma, I believe, has recovered. They have at the 7-yard line. You know, I don't know how many times Ibiloy is the man who made the recovery.
No, that was just a physical mistake. Chris Burke, a wide receiver back there. I don't know if he lost it in the lights, but it didn't seem like a weird punt that was twisting or turning.
Well, the wind seemed to alter it a little bit,
I think that's a good point. Yeah, that wind is, on a punt that high, it certainly would have affected it.
Well, when you're around the 10-yard line, how many times have we seen the ball given up there, straight ahead? It's Finch. Into the end zone and touchdown, Oklahoma. Tyler Evans with an outstanding block.
Watch the balance by Finch. And this is a young man who battled a stress fracture in his foot, wore a boot for 8 weeks, but watch as he goes through the line of scrimmage. He gets hit low and just puts his left hand down, and that's amazing. That's a fantastic athletic move by Finch.
I looked down to see who that was making the tackle, and all of a sudden I realized he had a hand on the ground and was heading in. Stevens with the extra point attempt knocks it through. And we're going away for 30 seconds. Sooners by 21. So we're back, and I'll tell you what, that combination to the right there, 22 and 7. If I were going to Vegas anytime soon, I might put a chip on either of those numbers because they are good luck, are they not?
Well, having Finch healthy has been a nice little addition to his offense.
Well, on the run, the kick is taken and out to the 27-yard line. This week on ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern, it's a battle of the AFC West. The Broncos will take on San Diego. Coverage begins 7 o'clock Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Well, we got 1:18 to play opening quarter. And if a ball club ever needed about 5 or 6 first downs and put some points on the board, it is the team on offense right now, the Baylor Bears. They have been hit in the face and the attention gotten, and this may do it. Jay Findlay breaks it open. Inside the 25, he's down to the 23-yard line, and there is an answer to the Oklahoma Sooners. And boy, it is at a perfect time.
Well, it's a zone read look. You're going to see Finley come right over to the left. And this is why when I looked at the film, nice job. They pulled the right guard, Robert T. Griffin. But he just has really good speed in the open field. He's a tough, low runner at the line of scrimmage, but he also can run away from you once he gets to the open field. I think this guy fought back for his senior year, his last game here tonight, and I think he's got a very bright future.
Griffin. Nothing this time. Oklahoma defensively steps up. It's going to be a yard loss. Travis Lewis defensively.
Well, and bunch of records going down this year. Jay Finley creeping up on Walter Abercrombie for the all-time leading rusher in one season here at Baylor. In fairness to Mr. Abercrombie, that happened in 11 games back in 1980.
Play action, quick pass. That's caught by Wright. Wright was close to the first down. That's the end of the first quarter. 21-0, Oklahoma. It was the DeMarco Murray show. The Sooners in that first quarter.
Welcome back to College Football Primetime. College football lives here. Get it!
And the ladies of Oklahoma, we thank you so much for the welcome back here in Waco, Texas. 21-0. The Sooners on top as we start play in the second quarter. And Jay Finley with the long run from scrimmage. And as a result, Baylor with a third down, and they need about a half a yard.
Well, I think you go for it on fourth, so why not try something here to the end zone?
K'Ron Johnson in the game to block, and Finley goes straight ahead. He'll pick up the first down. Austin Box, glad to see that he is healthy and back on the field, is there to make the tackle for the Sooners.
He's walking very gingerly, so you got to be careful. I know guys want to be tough, but if you can't move against this offense, you can't be on the field.
Griffin, play action, throws the pass over the middle, caught at the goal line, touchdown Baylor. It's tight end Brad Taylor.
Well, this is just a big body at tight end going right over the middle, and it's a wonderful throw by Robert Griffin because he's not really open. That is very good coverage there by Jonathan Nelson, the strong safety, but because he's got a 6'3", 240-pound guy on a 5'11", 190-pound guy, he fires it in there, and of course all set up by the long run of Finley.
Aaron Jones with the extra point attempt, and he's perfect. So with 14:29 left to play in the first half, new score, 21 Oklahoma, 7 for the Baylor Bears. Oklahoma's lead cut down to 14 points. And the Baylor Bears prepare to kick it off in this quarter. They'll be playing into the wind.
If I were Oklahoma, I'd be a little concerned right now of an onside kick. We've already seen almost a fake punt. Went for it on fourth down.
But they're going to do a pooch kick off to the left side, just inside the 20. And that is Clay. Brennan Clay gets turned to flip. Now let's take a look back at our Chick-fil-A drive recap.
Well, it wasn't much of a drive because of the muffed punt, but what a spectacularly athletic play by Roy Finch. As he gets hit low by Jean-Baptiste, he puts his hand on the ground and finishes it. That will make a few highlight shows tonight.
I would hope so. So Oklahoma back on offense. They scrimmage from their own 28-yard line. And straight ahead with the handoff, and it's going to be Finch who is being shoved back. It's going to be a gain of 2. Here are the numbers on Murray and what he's done. 3 rushes, 21 yards and a touchdown. Receiving 3 catches, 88 yards and a touchdown. So 6 touches, 109 yards and 2 touchdowns.
On the defense, 12 men on the field when the ball was snapped. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Well, the mistake that Baylor is making is because of the way Oklahoma goes so fast, they're trying to match personnel on and off. Sometimes you just have to go with the guys that are out there. And that's the second time they've been caught with 12 guys on the field.
Keep getting shots of Josh Heupel over on the sideline, helping Landry Jones with the signals. I'll tell you, he's done a great job with him of getting him to learn poise and concentration. Running play, I'll tell you, Finch for a little guy likes to put his head down and really pop. But that time he came up short of the first down. It'll be third. Elliott Coffey, who has been out with a high ankle sprain, and the Baylor Bears were excited to get him back, is getting to play some tonight. He made the tackle. Third down, and Landry Jones straight ahead. He'll have the first down.
It is so hard to play defense. You know, I think back to when I played, and the Buffalo Bills, of course, went hurry up in the NFL there for a stretch. But I have got to think that this speed, a lot of the college games starting to percolate up with the zone read and the Wildcat. I got to think some of this hurry up might start percolating up as well. So hard to defend.
Jones going to go long. Collision, flag, and it was Kenny Stills who was just completely taken down on the play by Stevenson.
Well, Stevenson got spun around, and as he tried to find
pass interference on the defense, number 27, 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down.
As Stevenson spun around to try to feel where Stills was, he got tangled up, and Stevenson, a true freshman, having to play more because Chance Casey is out. But watch Stills. He let him get to the inside of him, which is a no-no. You've got to, in that coverage one-on-one, you've got to keep him to the outside.
You can see Stevenson actually rolled up on his legs to stop him, to keep him having the big score. Right over the middle, it's Murray. Murray breaks one tackle, takes it down inside the 35. That is enough for the OU first down.
You think of some of the names that DeMarco Murray has passed. Touchdowns in a career, he passed Steve Owens. Receiving yards by a running back, he passed Quentin Griffith. All-purpose yards in a career, he passed Joe Washington. Those are some amazing names.
Well, speaking of records, here's Broyles, and I have a feeling that by the time that he leaves school, Ryan is going to have himself a pocket full of records as well.
And in the future, a pocket full of money, too. I think that this guy in space, obviously not a huge guy at 5'11", 183 pounds, but a couple of years ago when we saw him break out against Cincinnati, he is so smooth. And imagine if he was 100% healthy.
Well, Baylor with a player down. You can see down at the 20-yard line. Atchison made the tackle, not suggesting it's him, but we'll come back and find out in a moment. Let's take a break.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Taco Bell, think outside the bun, and Dr. Pepper, there's nothing like a pepper.
Well, what you were looking at, Dr. Pepper, the world's oldest major soft drink, was created in Waco right here in 1891. Well, this is straight ahead with the ball carrier Clay. Brennan Clay will, the freshman from San Diego, will high step it down close to the first down at the 22-yard line.
Well, they just keep rolling these freshmen in, don't they? The lead blocker, Millard, true freshman. We've already seen Stills. We've seen Trey Franks make a catch. And I know there's a long way to go in this season, and Oklahoma controls their own destiny in the Big 12 South. But this is going to be an awfully good group offensively, even though they lose that guy next year.
Yep, for sure. This is Murray. He has the first down inside the 20-yard line. And the clock will stop just momentarily, and then we'll crank it up again at 11 minutes and 32 seconds left until halftime. Antonio Johnson made the tackle for the Bears. He is quite a leader on this ball club with a great motor. Needs to make it an infectious thing tonight to get the Bears back in this one. Down by 14. Jones with a play action. Still looking, going to run it. And he will throw it to Murray at the last minute. He was still behind the line of scrimmage, so a good legal pass. And it'll be, what, +4?
That was awfully close, but he was. It looked to me that the ball was set at about the 19 3/4. And watch where he throws this thing.
You see him pulling up.
Now the question.
And the ball was dropped. Okay.
but pretty close to a penalty on Landry Jones.
Murray in motion. Jones, middle of the field is open, but he throws the pass complete to Trey Franks. And the freshman from West Oregon Stark down in the Magic Triangle is going to have it down to the 13-yard line.
And this is where Oklahoma has struggled inside the red zone. Struggled at Missouri, at Texas A&M. Kevin Wilson said it helped to have a little bit more of a power running game once we get inside the 20. Let's see if they go with Murray between the tackles here.
10th play of the drive coming up. Swings it to Murray at the 10, at the 5, steps out of bounds, and it will be a 1st and goal to Elliott Coffey defensively out there to make the stop along with Landor.
That was a nice job by Trey Franks. That was a swing pass by design. In other words, when they dropped back, they were going to the swing the whole way. Trey Franks, true freshman, was lined up to that side and was blocking downfield, which was perfectly legal because the ball was thrown behind the line of scrimmage.
Millard back in the ball game at fullback, number 33. Pass over the middle, got a man open, touchdown Broyles.
He's one of those guys that you sometimes wonder, how did he get this open, working one-on-one against Mikhail Baker. And Baker lets him go into where he's assuming there's a safety, and you see Baker kind of put his hands up. He was forcing him into where he thought he had help. Someone on Baylor blew the coverage, either the safety or Baker, who didn't know that he was one-on-one.
Jimmy Stevens tries to make it a 28-7 ball game, and he does. So as we go to break, one more look. Ryan Broyles, the junior out of Norman High School, catches the touchdown pass. Celebrating its 6th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point that is kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $2.3 million in scholarship money.
And they may have to buy new nets for Baylor if Landry Jones keeps playing this well, because that's going to be a lot of PATs.
What is he, 17
kicked.
of 21?
Yeah, he's playing as well as I've seen him this season.
Tressway with the kickoff, high spinner, and it's going to be returned. Don't know why. It was 2 yards deep. Ball, no, that's not, that's his shoe. I was about to say fumble, but she's got her shoes on. Let's check with Wendy Nix at the studio.
Ron, at least we hope so. It's a studio update. Arkansas and Mississippi State over on ESPN. Vic Ballard, we showed you once before, his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game. Mississippi State on top, 21-17, 11 and a half to play in the 2nd quarter.
All righty. That would be a feather in their cap, plus the fact it would be a real downer for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Quarterback keep. Griffin is going to take it out for a gain of about 5, tackled by Jeremy Beal. Take a look at a quarterback comparison so far.
The only blemish for Jones, of course, the 1 interception, which you had to give a lot of credit to Gary Mason, the defensive end, who just made a wonderful play. Got blocked at the line of scrimmage, had soft hands, but hot start.
Well, the pass thrown to Finley, and Finley takes it forward to around the 29-yard line. Now, that may not go as passing yardage, that may go as rushing yardage, but I'm almost certain that was a backwards pass.
I believe it may have been, but there was a big collision, and Austin Box and Finley are still down.
Both still down, you're right.
There was, as the Oklahoma defense was in pursuit. Watch at the end as Box comes in. He's going to, I believe, miss Finley. Oh, no, he caught Finley's helmet, caught Box right, it looked like, on the arm. And you can see Finley looks like he took a pretty good shot by Box's arm to his head.
So let's take a timeout. 28-7 Oklahoma. Well, Sunday night, catch the latest exclusive unveiling of the new BCS rankings. Coverage of the BCS Countdown presented by Tostitos begins on ESPN Sunday at 6 Eastern and continues at 8:15 Eastern. And for more information, log on to ESPNU.com. You can see Austin Box being helped off the field. That's the second time tonight that they have had to help him off the field after an injury. And that was really quite a pop.
Yeah, and it looked like it was his leg again. And when he came in and dropped his arm, it looked to me like it might have been an upper arm injury.
Finley trying to work his way out of that little scrum he was in, and he's not going to pick up the first down. Going to be fourth down, and it's Tom Ward, the redshirt freshman out of New Braunfels, who will make the tackle.
Well, and Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator, was really concerned about the interior of his defensive line with Adrian Taylor and Daniel Noble out. But that time it was Jamarcus McFarland, a sophomore, 6'2", 293-pounder that they've been hoping would come along, who got very good penetration and slowed down the run before it got started.
Everson is going to have to kick into the wind. And here's his boot. Wobbly spiral. Fair catch has been signaled for, and then Broyles ran away from it.
Well, the problem for Baylor is the defense has got to start to get worn out here. I mean, you're with 8 minutes left in the second quarter. Oklahoma has already run 33 offensive plays. That's usually a little more than that's usually a half, but they will wear you out.
Total yardage 224 yards for the Sooners. And they keep it on the ground. Going to be a gain of about 4 on the surge. It is Earl Patton on the stop and DeMarco Murray.
Well, you know, Murray's been a guy who's battled some injuries through his career, and having an entire offseason to get healthy and ready for the season has really paid off for his last year.
Well, broke out of one tackle, then took it out to the right side to around the 36-yard line. Landor on the stop, and Oklahoma continues the quick offense. Checking into the game is Millard, Trey Millard, the freshman from Columbia, Missouri. It's Millard shifting from the left over to the right, and they throw it out to Broyles. He's a blocker, and he gets a good block, and Broyles will have the first down plus about 8 more yards. Landor on the tackle.
Well, you were talking about Millard from Columbia, Missouri. We asked how they got him away from Missouri, and his high school coach told him, young man, you could be an NFL fullback. Told Millard. And they don't have a fullback at Missouri, but they've used one quite well.
Most schools don't, except, you know, Oklahoma does and uses it to good avail. And boy, they're using him a lot because he is a good blocker. He's doing it right now. He paves the way. This is a freshman, the one that Ed was just talking about. That's Millard, number 33. And they're going so quickly. I don't know. We got a chance to replay it. Here's a quick look.
Well, this is the exact same play, and Millard does a wonderful job. Boy, he just locks on to people. That was Antares Bryan, a cornerback that's just a little outmanned at 190 pounds.
First down for the 41.
Well, Millard in motion again. But they fake it. Now they throw. 25 at the 20. Broyles finally tripped up as he goes inside the 15-yard line, and it will be first down at the Baylor 13.
Well, it's midway through the second quarter, and Ryan Broyles already has over 100 yards receiving, which breaks that record we saw he had tied with Mark Clayton.
You know, now they got a whistle right here as they try to get.
Timeout, Baylor.
Baylor had called a timeout. On that replay, Broyles looked as though he took a strange double step on the sideline. Let's take a timeout. So we are back in Waco, Texas, and let's redo the numbers on Broyles.
Yeah,
8 catches.
87 yards. Yeah, I thought he was over 100, but I don't think it's going to take much longer.
Well, that's DeMarco Murray, and he's going to take it to the 11-yard line. I tell you, OU on this series particularly has kept Millard in the ball game and has used him a lot as far as in motion. This time they throw to him, and we may see why they may not throw to him a whole bunch. He is a great blocker, but didn't do a good job of gathering in that pass.
Well, they've used him out of the backfield, but that time, you know, it's hard for a guy who's been out there banging heads and having to block and cut block and everything else. He probably turned his hands the wrong way. You go, sometimes you cradle it, other times you turn your hands upside down and bring it in that way.
Third down, need to take it to the 3.5-yard line. Here comes pressure, pass is thrown, it is tipped and almost intercepted by Stevenson.
Well, and that was a big mistake by Landry Jones, and something that has hurt Oklahoma all year long is turnovers in the red zone. And he got pressure right away and tried to force a ball that was nearly intercepted.
Stevens comes out, and Jimmy is going to have the wind behind him. And where this one's going to be placed down, it would appear to be about a 28-yard field goal. Seven of 10 on the year. Good pass, and he knocks it home. 5:38 left until halftime in our new score. Oklahoma 31-7.
Well, here comes the pressure. It looked like maybe they were trying to set up a screen, but that was really good pressure that time by the linebacker, Rodney Chadwick. Actually, he just whipped the man to the inside, and this ball was poorly thrown and a bad decision trying to find Trey Franks. And that's one that Josh Heupel, I'm sure the quarterback coach, when they go in and watch film, will say, hey, we're down in the red zone again. Do not turn the ball over. That's been really the only weakness that Oklahoma has had this year offensively. They turned it over twice in the red zone against Missouri. They missed a field goal against Missouri. And then against Texas A&M, they were 1 for 3 inside the 5-yard line. So it's been really the only problem they've had offensively all season.
Well, you're talking about Josh, and we have seen him on the sidelines several times with instruction. That was James Patton, who was walking right next to him. James, the offensive line coach, and he needs to be pleased with the way his young guys have come along as the season has gone.
And having some depth, which they didn't have last year, has been a very big deal.
Mikhail Baker with pretty good collision at the 21. Wendy Nix, let's check with you again up in Bristol.
Ron, thank you very much, but we won't stay in Bristol long. Out to the ACC, Florida State, Maryland. The Terps have an answer. Danny O'Brien to Will Yeatman, and we have a tie ball game, 10-all, 5.5 to play in the first half. Ron?
Okay, Wendy, thanks so much. That's interesting. Fridge only won, 2 games last year. And this
They're
year
in the hunt.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
he got a new contract.
That always helps.
Yep. First down from the 21-yard line. Boy, Jay Finley was within a breath of breaking that one out. Quentin Carter, the senior out of Las Vegas, number 20, made the tackle for the Sooners.
If Carter doesn't make that tackle, Finley, I think, has another long run like the 50-yarder he had earlier, because the safeties were so close to the line of scrimmage.
Plenty of time on the play clock. Griffin, play action, keeps it, wants to throw. Here comes pressure, and he's going to be sacked. That's Ward who will get him. Tom, the redshirt freshman out of New Braunfels, twice that they have sacked the quarterback tonight.
Well, Ward standing in the middle, of course, replacing Austin Box. Good finish. Didn't leave his feet, didn't go for the pump fake, and this is a guy that Brent Venables is very excited, just a freshman. He actually used the word future superstar. Very intense, emotional young guy.
Jared Salubi, number 21, comes into the ball game for Baylor at running back, and they throw it to him right over the middle. Has it complete. He'll be tackled at the 25. And let's see, about 6 yards short of the first down. Wart again making the tackle.
And Ronald Lewis is down, a guy who's been battling a knee injury. This was his first game back. He was switched from linebacker to defensive end because they needed some speed off of the edge.
Like he's been out, what, the last 4 weeks with that knee injury. And has been one of those kind of guys, obviously a very knowledgeable football player, because they have used him at linebacker and at defensive end and then back to linebacker. So obviously pretty bright kid when it comes to the game itself, if you're able to switch him around like that.
Looks like his pregame meal may not be agreeing with him.
Yeah, it could be. So it is punting time for the Baylor Bears, and Epperson's kick, and the wind is going to hold this one up. Wow.
Well, and with this much wind that high, if you miss it and it's not a tight spiral, it's going to take it and push it the direction it's going.
And Epperson has a tendency, he kicks a spiral when it comes off his foot, but it never turns over. And if you don't get it to do that and the nose stays up
in this wind,
the wind will take it right out of there. You're right. And I think it's safe to say that the wind is a lot stronger now than it was back early in the first quarter. Landry Jones out in the flat, has Broyles. Tell you what, that is a long throw, and in that case, the way the coverage was coming by Antonio Johnson, it was almost a dangerous throw. He was really closing on the receiver in a hurry.
Well, you kind of get the idea. Murray and Broyles are the two guys. If you're Oklahoma State and you're watching this game, there's a little tip for you. You might want to defend those two guys.
Deep over the middle, well overthrown, and the ball was tipped by Rattery, the tight end, junior out of Weatherford, Oklahoma. And Murray comes off the bench. DeMarco coming back into the lineup with a 3rd down and 10.
Well, they've been running that swing pass to the right to Murray.
That's the open side of the field this time. They throw that direction. It is caught, and with the move, not quite enough by Broyles. I'm going to say he's about a half yard short of the first down.
Well, and you go for it here. If you're Bob Stoops, up 31-7 in the first half, I believe it'll be a quarterback sneak.
Yep. They've already taken the snap. Straight ahead is Landry Jones. Now the plot thickens a little bit, because on 4th down, from where they're spotting it, it is going to be very close. Yeah, the officials now are going to say without a measurement, it is a first down.
They just go so fast, and they know we're going for it. We're going to run a quarterback sneak, and you just don't even have a time to put your hand on the ground if you're a defensive lineman.
Okay, they slowed him down, and now the snap. Landry Jones over the middle, got it complete at the 18-yard line to Franks.
Well, Frank's a young man who out of the state of Texas. Of course, Oklahoma recruits very heavily in the state of Texas. He ran a 10-1-5.
100 meters. Yeah.
That's world class.
You see the spin move by Finch. We've already seen one incredible move by him tonight, as it looked as though he was down, put his hand on the ground as he's falling, pushed himself back up, and took it into the end zone.
And that time he gets hit, spins off of it. I mean, I know that Oklahoma doesn't want to talk about next year, but you look at the new configured Big 12, and I don't know how they're not the favorite going in next season.
Sweep, Murray, stiff arm, and then lost his footing a little bit and went diving forward to about the 16. It's Coffey who was out there defensively. So it'll be third down, Oklahoma. Bob Stoops looks up at the clock, running at 1:25.
I think this is Broyles' time. He's in the slot to the right. Maybe run a short route with Franks. Try to bring the corner up and run a corner route into the end zone to Broyles in the slot.
Baylor faithful up and trying to help out their defense. They're down 31-7 right now. And Oklahoma with this third down, but the ball is in the red zone. The pass thrown behind Franks on a post.
Well, that's the second end of a drive inside the 20 where Landry Jones, well, that time wasn't a mistake. That was a physical mistake, not a mental one. The first one was the mental mistake, almost throwing the interception. That one was well behind Franks, who was running a slant. It was a double slant to that side. Franks had a good cushion from the corner and just thrown well behind Franks.
So Jimmy Stevens to attempt a 33-yard field goal from the near hash mark. And he nailed another one. Wendy Nix, let's check back with you.
Ron, thank you very much. Coming up on the Outback Steakhouse halftime report, we're still trying to sort things out in the Big 12. We've also got a logjam at the top of the Big 10. We'll help break down the scenarios there, and it's a Hokie revival after Virginia Tech clinches the ACC Coastal. I'm joined by Robert Smith and Todd McShay at the half. Ron?
Wendy, you got to say a huge congratulations to the Hokies, to Frank and his guys. They lost the first two games this year, and particularly after the second one they lost, people thought, wow, this was supposed to be a good year. This is going to be just a tragedy. And look what they've done since. They haven't looked back, have they?
It's amazing with what Frank Beamer and that staff do year in and year out. Remember a couple of years ago we had them in the Orange Bowl. Darren Evans had to come in because of an injury. It's just been year in and year out. They prove they're one of the top staffs in the country.
Well, you got to give them a ton of credit because not that those kids would have given up, but things were kind of bleak after those first 2 weeks.
Well, they lost to James Madison at home after giving up a lead in the fourth quarter to Boise State.
38 points last week by the Sooners in the first half and 34 points tonight. That's the reason we were talking about that the Sooners were good at the beginning of the year, but they've gotten even better. Let's take a quick look back at our protection spotlight brought to you by Castrol GTX.
Now the play fake to Murray brings the defense up. Great protection by the offensive line, and Broyles wide open. It's just been easy for Oklahoma. The only thing that stripped them up is, frankly, themselves in the red zone, and that's been the story all year. And you've got to think going to Stillwater.
Well, but I mean, when you score 38 last week, 34 tonight, and I don't think you should nitpick. Ball is tipped. It is caught by the receiver, and he backtracked. His line of scrimmage is going to be at the 1.5-yard line. Jared Salubi knocked the ball down, son. Wow.
Yeah, with the speed that Oklahoma has.
Jeremy Beal is the man who tipped it. So a timeout is called. Sooners still have 2 left.
Good use of a timeout.
See the numbers on Landry Jones, 23 of 31, 268, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception.
Bob Stoops keeping his foot on the gas here in the first half, using that timeout, hoping to force Baylor to punt into a stiff wind and see if they can't get good field position after a big mental error by Salubi.
Well, the wind certainly had something to do with this drive right here. No question about it. But the drive just a moment ago, I should say. Jay Finley in the ball game at tailback. And he will maybe get back to the line of scrimmage. They called another one. Yep. Called another timeout to stop the clock at 31 seconds.
Well, Beal has had such a wonderful senior year. Not the most explosive guy they've ever had on the defensive line, but just plays with great technique all the time, has great awareness. He wears number 44 because he came as a middle linebacker, and that's Jackie Shipp, the defensive line coach, who does a wonderful job. I think Jackie Shipp is one of those assistants around the country that, because we don't talk about them very much, but you think about the guys, Gerald McCoy, some of the guys that he has coached, and yes, they have great ability, but they are well schooled.
So here comes third down. See the shift at the last moment by the defensive front, and Finley tried to take advantage of it. They went the opposite way, but he came out of bounds, which does Oklahoma a favor because it stops the clock with 25 seconds left.
And saves that timeout.
That's right.
Right. So now you've got the wind in your face, you're punting into it, and you send Landry Jones, who other than when he gets inside the 20 has been playing fantastically tonight. And with a timeout now, you can think about a draw. You can think about a wide receiver screen. You don't have to think about things near the sideline or beyond the sticks because you have that timeout in your hip pocket.
See the total yards so far, 315 for Oklahoma. And this is a good kick as a flag is down. And Broyles all the way back at the 50-yard line just goes down.
Now the question becomes, they got the personal.
Roughing the kicker on the defense, number 25, hit the plant leg. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Nelson is the man who. You see what Bob said? You cost us the ball.
Yeah. Why are you doing that? We're going to get great field position. You know, that's the one thing you work with younger players is understand what the situation is. And you know, that's a cardinal rule when you are free and you're running straight at the kicker. Usually when you go to block it, you want to run across his foot.
Yeah, so you don't
to do exactly that, and that drives.
Because some people say, well, he had no choice to. Well, you do have a choice, and you still can't run into it. Here's Griffin. 30, 35, gets out of bounds at the 40. Oh boy, here comes a flag, and I hope he gets up and is okay, because he was out of bounds when Carter hit him with a headgear around the ankle.
After the runner went out of bounds, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the defense, number 20, 15-yard penalty, first down.
And why, you know, 2 mistakes in a row, and now you've got Baylor with 7 seconds left. I don't think you have time for 2 plays, so this has got to go into the end zone. But instead of having the ball near midfield, now you're giving Baylor a chance to maybe get 14 points or get up to 14 points.
Get it.
That's over.
There's no question about that. And Bob Stoops is still over there thinking, we had such an opportunity to maybe even get some more points, and we didn't think well enough. From the 44. Going to go for the end zone, and he heaved it. It is down there, caught and then taken away, I believe, by Tony Jefferson.
Boy, that ball looked like it was caught by Brad Taylor.
It sure did.
I thought Brad Taylor.
And see, Brad is a big kid for a tight end at 6'3", 240.
Well, and now there's a scuffle at midfield. The officials doing a very nice job of separating the players very quickly. There's Watkins, who knocks Beal down, and got to be very careful. You can get yourself ejected from a ball game with that type of behavior.
And not get to play in the bowl game.
Yep.
Because this is their last regular season game. So I think the excitement of the first half is over. And let's take a break. We're at halftime with our score. Oklahoma 34 and Baylor 7. Now let's go to Bristol. Here's Wendy Nix. Wendy? Welcome back to Saturday Night Football on ESPN, where our score is Oklahoma 34 and Baylor 7. And the half game ball for that first 2 quarters of play. DeMarco Murray, 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. And now for tonight's game track, brought to you by Timberland.
Well, it was a swing pass to DeMarco Murray that went for a long touchdown, and then the play fake to Murray brought the safety down, and an easy throw and catch by Landry Jones to Ryan Broyles, who's having a huge night.
O'Hara prepares to kick it off for the Sooners, has the wind at his back. High spinner, this one is returnable from the goal line. Baker. And Baker's going to be manhandled just short of the 15-yard line. Well, let's go back and revisit a graphic that we had off the top of the telecast.
Well, they've shown up, I guess is the story here.
I would say.
Yeah. With the way that Jones, Murray, and Broyles is going, I'd say it's going to stay about the same. And then as you dig deeper down into those stats in the first half, 6.4 yards per play for Oklahoma. Finley 71 yards, and Griffin has had a tough night, but they're going to have to do something to get both of these guys going. And I think they're going to have to keep doing some plays like that, Ron. I think that you cannot go away from that running game because it's going to set up some other stuff. As painful as it might be, I still think you have to have Finley involved.
In fact, got a report at halftime that A&M had kind of abandoned the run in the first half of their game against Nebraska, and it had been costly to them. Second down. Flag comes in after the completion to Terrence Williams.
And I think they're going to get a legal block in the back on Josh Gordon here.
Block in the back on the offense. Half the distance to the goal. Second down.
So I'll tell you what we're going to do. As we do this ball game, we're going to bring in our guru as far as the BCS is concerned, Brad Edwards. He was with us last year when we had Kansas at Texas down in Austin. Hey, Brad, welcome. Your thoughts about what you've seen here so far tonight?
Well, Ron, obviously pretty one-sided. I was expecting a little bit more of an offensive show on both sides of the ball, but certainly no surprise that Oklahoma's putting up points.
This ball is intercepted, and the touchdown by Oklahoma, Ronell Lewis.
Well, Brent Venables calls a zone blitz. And Ronell Lewis, we were talking about how he had moved from linebacker to defensive end. He's actually going to back out. As he backs out, quarterback never saw him. That's such a hard thing to see. When there is a zone blitz, you don't expect, you see that blitz coming, so you don't expect anybody to be in that area. Lewis did a nice job of faking like he was going to rush, and then came out, and Griffin never saw him.
Stevens with the extra point attempt knocks it home, and our new score 41-7. Brad, as we prepare for the kickoff by Oklahoma back to Baylor, let's talk about some of the things, the complaints that we have heard today from America as far as the BCS. One is the Big East and what's happened there. Pittsburgh just became bowl eligible today with their 7th win. They stand a real good chance of playing in the Fiesta Bowl. Should there be a rule that says if you have more than 2 losses and unless you win a conference championship, maybe you should not be able to go to the BCS?
Well, it seems like there sure should be, Ron, and especially now that we've gotten to the point where it seems like the non-AQ conferences, at least the best teams in those conferences, have closed the gap on the bigger conference teams. And it seems like a total injustice that the Big East would have a team in it in a year like this when there's no guarantee that both Boise and TCU will get in. And I guess the key there is that this is only the first year of a 4-year cycle with the BCS. So there are changes that could be made coming up real soon.
Brad, also the other thing that comes to mind is as Oklahoma kicks it off is the fact that, to me, it kills the suspense and enjoyment of the other BCS bowl games because you are leaving out the Boise's and the TCU's.
Yeah, you are, Ron, and of course if there's a team that certainly doesn't seem to belong in that group of BCS teams, it kind of ruins the game that team's playing in. Like, for example, I would tell you this year, it's almost certain that the Big East champ is going to end up playing the Big 12 champ in the Fiesta Bowl, and that's going to be a real big downer for a Big 12 champion that has to be excited about winning the conference title and getting to play in the BCS. But you got to figure they're going to get stuck in a game where they really feel like they have nothing to gain and everything to lose.
Okay, Brad Edwards, we're going to talk with you some more here. Let's go ahead and get this Baylor drive started and see if the Bears can get off the snide here in the second half. There's the guy to do it, the quarterback, Robert Griffin, who takes it forward at a gain of 11 yards.
And, Brad, everybody in this part of the country, obviously, as Griffin a little slow to get up, is wondering what may happen with TCU. How do you think it's going to shake out between TCU and Boise State as this thing comes down to the wire?
Well, Ed, I think it's going to be really close when the standings come out tomorrow, and I think now the ball is in Boise State's court, and it's just a matter of how impressive they can be, assuming they beat Nevada on Friday night. Obviously, if they win it comfortably, I think they're in great shape. If they don't, we'll have to see what happens.
And, Brad, in the Big 12 South, if Texas A&M beats Nebraska and Oklahoma wins tonight and beats Oklahoma State, we've got a 3-way tie. Why does it shake out for most likely Oklahoma able to go?
Yeah, because it's going to come down to the BCS standings if that happens, and you'd figure that in order for the 3-way tie to take place, Oklahoma State's going to have to lose the final game, so they're definitely not going to be one of the higher ranked teams in that group. And the way that it's written right now with the tiebreaker, Oklahoma would just have to be more than one spot ahead of Texas A&M to keep the head-to-head from kicking in there. And given that there's a 5-spot gap between those teams in the BCS right now, and given that Oklahoma would certainly get a surge from beating Oklahoma State on the road at the end of the year, I just don't think A&M with one more loss on its record overall would have enough to be able to keep that gap tight between them and the Sooners.
Brad, I'm going to take it here for just a second on this 3rd down and 8 for Baylor. 4 wide receivers set. Steps up, Griffin delivers, and incomplete on the pass play to Tevin Reese. And it's going to be kicking time again for the Bears. They got to kick into the win. So we're going to go to a commercial after the kick. Brad, stick on the line. We got a couple of more questions to ask you, if that's okay.
That sounds good.
Well, it's been a difficult night for Robert Griffin. Such a good ball player, but this defense for Oklahoma, you talk about well prepared and well schooled. Boy, they have been just that this evening. This may be his best kick of the night into the wind. Fair catch is called for and made at the 23. We'll take a break. Oklahoma 41-7. We'll be right back. So we are back and a look at Robert Griffin as he came to the sideline just a moment ago. A little moment of solitude, chat with himself, and maybe with the man upstairs. Not really sure. Bench in the ball game. He'll get the handoff, and he'll come for short yardage to the left side with a couple.
And Brad, final question here. There's all the talk of one-loss teams maybe knocking off TCU, Boise State for a national championship run. Could that happen, and if so, who would that be?
Well, Ed, I think out of the teams that currently have one loss, there's probably not a good candidate to do it because they all have a weakness as far as their resumes kind of are impacted by the BCS formula. But after this play, I'll tell you who I think could do it.
Broyles, boy, that's a great open field tackle on the defense by the Baylor Bears.
Go ahead, Brad.
And Ron, I would tell you that the one team I think could survive a loss is Auburn. They don't have one right now, but I think if they were to lose a close game in Tuscaloosa, the voters aren't going to penalize them too much for that. That's a quality loss. And then I think a comfortable win in the SEC championship game, and we'd have to see what happens.
Hey, you know what? I totally agree with that logic. I think it's very good logic.
Yeah, and Ron, I think the key there is that right now the voters seem torn between TCU and Boise as far as the highest-ranked non-AQ team. And say you got 1/3 on TCU, 1/3 on Boise. If the other third would rather see a one-loss SEC champ, then you could potentially have come down to the wire there.
Okay. Brad Edwards of ESPN, and I call him the guru of the BCS, and he really is now, folks. And I don't think there's anybody any more knowledgeable about the situation. Hey, Brad, thanks so much for coming on with us, and best of luck to you, my friend.
Thanks, guys. I enjoyed it.
Okay, thanks. Punting time, Tress Way to kick it for the Sooners, kicking with the wind, and wow, this thing may go 70 yards. Taken in way back at the 20 by Burke. Well, we'll take a timeout. 41-7, Sooners on top.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Nissan, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy, and Popeye's Spicy Crispy Crawfish. Put some Cajun in your blood.
The Texas Sports Hall of Fame is located here in Waco. It was developed in 1951, and in fact, Texas became the first state to honor its athletes with a Hall of Fame.
And we have a Hall of Fame member on our crew. Bob Goodrich, our producer, who has produced some of the biggest sporting events in the history of American sports. He's inducted into the Texas State Hall of Fame for his play in high school football here in Texas. Went on to SMU to play tight end.
Griffin hands it off, and the running play is going to go for maybe one. And let me put a period on that before we leave the subject of Bob Goodrich, our producer, being in the Hall of Fame. Folks, when we get an assignment and it's coming to the state of Texas, he now lives in another state. I will not say the other state he lives in, but he always says, this weekend we're going back to God's country, which means all of us know we're going to Texas. That ball is thrown and is complete at the 31-yard line. Kendall Wright.
Well, now for Baylor, it's you know, what's the crazy part in talking to Brent Venables about this offense, the defense coordinator from Oklahoma, said you never quite feel comfortable. And they scored 30 points last week and a half against Texas A&M. They scored 28 the week before and a half against Oklahoma State. So they can do it in a hurry.
Well, this is the play that we watched a couple of times yesterday and thought how difficult to defend, because when Griffin is putting the pressure on, he then is throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. And so
this is one of the coolest plays, as Baylor's now going fast, so we're not going to be able to get to a replay as you see Brent Venables getting his workout in for the day over there. But you're absolutely right. It's going to be a run from the quarterback, and then they throw a screen. It's really a neat play.
Quick pass, caught in the flat, and the tackle made immediately on Josh Gordon, the big sophomore out of Houston Lamar.
And they weren't sure how much they were going to be able to get out of Gordon because of that broken left index finger. And it's one thing for a receiver to break a pinky or even a ring finger, but that index finger is right where the ball comes in. You always catch it almost always between your thumb and your index finger. And
what they were waiting for, they had to substitute for him. Terrence Williams came back on the field, number 2. They play the same spot. Quick out pass this time to Reese. Reese down the sideline, and then is going to be knocked out of bounds at the 28-yard line by Quentin Carter.
Well, you know, this is a play that I just think they got out of sorts in the first half and weren't able to dial up what they wanted to. But now they're starting to get some of those wide receiver screens. I just think they were so on their heels in that first half. We didn't get to see a lot of this offense, but now you're starting to get an idea of the different stuff they can do.
OU comes with the blitz. And in fact, the tackle was made by Ward. He was the blitzing linebacker, and he just continued to follow the flow.
Well, you know, it was interesting talking to Brent Venables about Josh Gordon, the receiver, a moment ago. Venables calls himself a recruiting nerd. He said, I know everybody in this part of the country, and I don't know where they found Josh Gordon, but that guy can run and catch. I'm kind of upset with myself that I didn't know about it.
He's the big 19-year-old we were talking about back in the first half. 6'3", 220. They roll the pocket. Ball is thrown complete to the 25-yard line to Terrence Williams.
And this is a good drive for Baylor just to get something going. Sitting at 7-4, and this guy finally starting to get into a little bit of rhythm.
Quick pass, got it to the tight end Taylor, and he lost his footing. His knee went down at the 27. Ninth play, and they're going to be going for a field goal here. And this attempt is going to come into the wind, a 44-yard attempt.
And careful driving the ball. Jones had one blocked last week against Texas A&M. Wind and a lengthy field goal. Sometimes they'll drive it a little low.
They got plenty of distance on this one. And he got it. 44 yards into the wind. Let's take a timeout. And we're back at Waco, Texas. Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham. 7:54 left to play in the third quarter. Oklahoma's lead now cut to 31. And Aaron Jones, we kept looking at it during the timeout. He hooked that ball a long way, but he also kicked it very high, and it was very good. Well, this kick into the wind is going to be short. Madu. And Madu will take it out over the 35. But it all comes down to the final race of the season as the championship is on. It's on for the winner who takes all in this battle between Hamlin, Johnson, and Harvick for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship of the Ford 400 at Homestead, Miami. Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Coverage will begin a NASCAR countdown at noon on ESPN2. And you can see what the scenarios are beneath each one of the drivers, what they need to accomplish if they are going to be the winner. Closest situation ever in the chase. Murray. Boy, he had almost 10 yards into play. Started it out left, took it back in strong to the right, and Landor finally made the tackle.
Well, and because the points matter for laps led, Jimmy Johnson, Harvick, Hamlin, that's the order in which they qualified for the Big Three.
Heavy pressure that time on the quarterback Landry, and he had to get rid of the football, and he threw it short, which was not damaging to anyone.
I would assume that this may be the last drive that we see Landry Jones. Might see Drew Allen come out after this one.
Elliott with the pressure on that last play. You see an audible being called. He could just stay under center. Murray straight up the middle. Tackled by Phil Taylor, the senior out of Clinton, Maryland. Transfer here to Baylor by way of Penn State.
And Taylor, a young man who was invited to play in the Under Armour Senior Bowl this year. A big deal because that's the one that's coached by NFL coaches. A long way to helping your future in that time.
Long to the end zone. Touchdown, Oklahoma, and it's Kenny Stills.
That was such a veteran move by Stills. There's some guys at receiver that just get it. And Stills, the ball was underthrown. The ball was underthrown slightly by Landry Jones. And Stills slowed down until the defender bumped him. Then he went and finished it. It's such a nuanced little thing. And I remember,
49 yards. Wow.
I had played with Gary Clark when I was in the NFL, and he was a guy who just felt when the ball was in the air how to position his body. That was a nice job by Kenny Stills.
Stevens with the extra point, nails it. And at the 7:08 mark of the third quarter, our new score is Oklahoma 48-10. Let's take a look at the ISO that we had.
Now watch right at the very end. It's kind of a little corner and then up route. And you've got the trailing, slows down, bump, uses his hands a little bit, which, I'm not sure how much real defensive pass interference that was, but just a good use of body control. And, of course, we saw him right at the end there, Ron. Watch what he does with the ball. Just gives it right. Better flip to the official quickly. I know what he didn't do.
Well, here's what he did. Well, you look at him and he's, what is that, his zip code? This is last week. Watch this touchdown. This is okay to do on Sunday, but it's not okay to do on Saturday. And he jumps up right here and spikes the ball between his legs. And what he found out very quickly is how much of a stern disciplinarian. The ball is loose into the end zone and knocked out of the back of the end zone, and that is a safety. Dixon is the man who had the ball knocked away, and that is a safety for Oklahoma.
Well, that was Marcus Trice, who's been very active tonight for Oklahoma on special teams. Watch, first of all, the ball should have been knelt down if you don't handle it right, and there's some confusion. But watch Trice come in, gets his hand wrapped around the ball, and gives it a yank. What a wonderful play by Trice.
He could see how loosely the ball was being kept, and you got to give credit to the Baylor Bears for knocking the ball out of the back of the end zone. Otherwise, it would have been a touchdown. Now we get a free kick by Baylor, and Oklahoma gets the ball back.
What a tough night for Art Briles. And you just, let's make sure we put into context how special this season has been. And it's been such a tough road. Baylor has not had a bye all season long. This is their last regular season game the weekend before Thanksgiving. They've played 3 ranked teams in a row, and that came after an emotional win at Texas 4 games ago. And you just get the sense that maybe the gas is real low in the tank. But you really don't want to take away from what has been a nice season under Art Briles in his 3rd year.
Plus the fact we want to show you in this quarter something that a movement that is afoot here in Waco about the possibility of a new stadium for the Baylor Bears, which is on campus. They're the only university in the conference who does not have an on-campus facility. There's the free kick, and back to the 20 is Broyles. Whoa, what a hit. Good heavens. Wendy Nix, let's check in with you in Bristol.
Ron, thank you. We've got an overtime game going on over on ESPN. Arkansas and Mississippi State. Niall Davis was stripped of the ball with under 2 minutes to go. That led to a Mississippi State field goal to tie it up. It's 31-all in overtime. Ron?
Wendy, thank you. I think that was Trahan with that big hit. And I'm not so sure it was not him who was responsible for knocking the ball out of the back of the end zone, so it would not be a touchdown, only a safety.
And he's the guy who made the tackle at the 1-yard line last week after A&M had blocked the field goal.
Boy, Landry Jones got the pass away, but I'll tell you what, now he may be shaken up. Well, that was Phil Taylor.
Well, and you wonder why Landry Jones is in the game. You've got to get your backup in. You're up 50-10. Yeah, and I thought that the last drive was going to be his last one. He gets planted in the NFL. That would be a penalty, and not so sure that should not have been a penalty there. You can't drive the quarterback into the ground.
Running play is going to take it to around the 38. That's Brennan Clay. Phil Taylor making another tackle on that play. So it's 3rd down. So there's a good look right there at Drew Allen, the redshirt freshman out of San Antonio, played at Alamo Heights High School, warming up on the far sideline. That's Madu in motion. Pressure as Landry Jones gets knocked down again, this time by Tracy Robertson.
Yep, this is the last time you're going to see number 12 in this ball game. That's 2 big hits on a drive that you just don't want to see if you're a Sooner fan. Game's at 50-10. Let's get our guy out of here. We've got Bedlam next week. And that's a perfectly clean hit by Tracy Robertson, but still, you don't want to see your starter taking those kind of shots.
Josh Heupel, the quarterback coach, talking to Landry Jones on the sideline. Tressway with the kick, and the left footer sends this one a long way. Going to take an Oklahoma bounce and went out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. They're going to say out at the 6. So Denver against San Diego on Monday Night Football. It's presented by Applebee's. Pre-game show will kick off at 7 o'clock Eastern, and the ball game at 8:30 Eastern on Monday.
Drew Allen looks like he might be going on the next one. I can't imagine that Landry Jones is going to run back out. I know we're still in the third quarter, but up 40. Get him a baseball cap.
Well, movement by Baylor.
False start on the offense. Number 71. Half the distance of the goal. First down.
Art Briles trying to keep it a positive situation on the sideline. And Bob Stoops comes over to issue some congratulations and a way to go. An attaboy for his starting quarterback. Bader, 8 penalties on the night. And running play spinning out of the stack is Jay Finley.
Well, we were talking earlier about Jay Finley. I'm so impressed with this young man, and we were talking to Art Briles about him yesterday. He missed all of spring, most of fall camp, and I said, you know, the last 5 games has been so good. He said, well, he finally was able to get himself in shape because that ankle surgery, he couldn't work out that much, and just taking him a while to get healthy.
Boy, that is a good open field tackle by Tony Jefferson. Another one of those freshman sensations that we have been talking about. And in fact, you can see that running back Jay Finley, because of the lick, came right on his shin. And he's getting up, he's limping, but he's going back to the huddle. He wants some more of the action. And now looks like he's going to come out of the ball game.
Well, senior night here at Baylor. Let's hope that Finley's able to finish it on the field, and that's just a bruise.
Third down coming up. They need to take it out to the 16-yard line. Terrence Yanaway, a junior out of DeKalb, Texas, will come in for Baylor at running back. Blitz by Oklahoma, puts up the pass, and closest person to it was Quentin Carter, the free safety for the Sooners. He just had to unload that one. Wart coming in with pressure, the linebacker.
Well, if you're going to blitz, you've got to blitz one more than the offense has someone to block, and that's exactly what Brent Venables and his defensive staff dialed up that time. There's 2 blitzers, not enough blockers, and Griffin had no choice but to heave it up.
Here's the kick. Good kick. It's going to turn over, but you know, I say good, I didn't realize it was coming out of bounds. So Oklahoma's going to get some very good field position. Well, what you're about to see here is the practice facility on the campus of Baylor University. There it is right there. And the Brazos River runs right here. Well, the property just beyond is owned by Baylor. And there are a lot of people, including a lot of big boosters, who were talking about, let's get an on-site campus stadium, and that's the area that they're looking at putting it, which would be a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
my recommendation is look at a stadium like Stanford. They did a marvelous job with that,
and kept the price right. You know, you don't have to go spend $200 million, but Art Briles knows he can win here. They're already at 7-4, but middle of Texas, he's got great relationships down in Houston for obvious reasons as the ex-head coach there.
Well, and plus the fact that the recruiting in Central Texas, which he is very much a part of right here in Waco, and also East Texas, his back door is Dallas. So the recruiting situation for the Baylor Bears is not a bad one at all, as one of the Bears players is down.
I believe that is Tracy Robertson, but Art Briles born, raised, has been in Texas his entire life. He started his college coaching career at Texas Tech, but had a wonderful run at Stephenville High School, and then took the University of Houston, revived that program, and off of the success of that took this Baylor job. And, you know, visiting with Briles yesterday, you could see the gleam in his eye, you know, and Ron, you know,
I talked about the recruiting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's over 400 athletes per year that come out of Texas to play in the FBS, and he's right in the middle of it. He had almost that Cheshire grin a little bit about how good things could be here if they keep winning.
It was Lloyd who came off the field under his own power, and Landry Jones is operating at quarterback again. Got a second down and short. That's Murray, lead blocker, and he'll take it out of bounds at around the 30-yard line. Landor is the man who tripped him up, and they're going to say out at the 31.
You can figure Drew Allen, you know, we talked about it, all these young players. You just want to get those guys some time, too, with the injury part.
This is Clay, and short yardage for him. I think we'll see him in due time.
Yep.
We still got 3:50 left to play in the third quarter. Well, they go fast.
It's unbelievable.
I'm telling you now. Murray again. Nothing to the right. Brought it back to the left. He's going to wind up with 1 yard on the play. We understand that at the end of 3 quarters at College Station, no more base hits. They're tied at 3. And I'll tell you what, that's been really a defensive struggle, hasn't it? Out in the front, this is Murray. He'll have the first down, pushed out of bounds at the 18.
Well, and there's a flag down. Landry Jones took another hit. And it's going to be
roughing the passer on the defense, number 13. Half the distance of the goal from the end of the run. First down.
Tracy Robertson flagged on the play out of Houston Lamar.
And Jones was slow to get up again. And I can't think that the head coach yeah, you don't want to see that. Even if it was on time, you don't want to see that where the head kind of gets jerked back there.
So it is a first and goal. The ball at the 9-yard line. That's Clay. Clay is going to be taken down for a 2-yard loss on the sweep. Tim Atchison, the free safety, got out there. Senior out of Carpers Cove, same city that Robert Griffin is from.
And this is the part of the field where Oklahoma, going next week into Stillwater, they're going to have to clean up because field goals and such like that against, we saw Oklahoma State and how explosive they can be offensively. I think that that's going to turn into a shootout and be a wonderful game. But you got to get sevens down here for Oklahoma on that game.
Play again. Big opening up the middle this time. And got to be stopped, well, they'll say at about 7.5-yard line. Clock runs down, about to go under 2 minutes to play in the third quarter. Jean-Baptiste making the tackle, junior out of Stafford, Texas. This is the 6th 300-yard passing game by the Sooners this year by Jones. Pretty good numbers, very good numbers. Comes a blitz, quick pass, a little miscommunication there as the ball. Franks was running a post and the ball was thrown behind him, so field goal team will come on. And they'll try to put 3 more up there and make it 53-10.
And there's Landry Jones talking to Josh Heupel. Obviously confusion on what Franks was going to run. Landry threw it like he was going to run the out cut, and Franks ran the slant.
Here comes Stevens. And he got another one. Wendy Nix, let's check with you back in Bristol.
Ron, thank you. It's a Dr. Pepper Big 12 update. Missouri and Iowa State. Davian Moore from a yard out. Touchdown, Mizzou with a 14-0 edge over Iowa State. And Nebraska trailing Texas A&M. It is 6-3. Not a lot of offense in this game. We're under 14.5 to play in the fourth quarter.
Well, across the street in the area that the band entertains the alumni before the ball game, some guys have decided a football game has broken out over there. So
perfect way to end the night.
Yeah,
10, 12-year-old
well,
kids.
nice and cool. You got lights in from you know, a big post over there. So why not artificial turf?
You know that I think everyone assumed the Big 12 North was over with Nebraska, but they don't get out of College Station with a win. They have to beat a resurgent Colorado team next week at home, and the flag comes down for the kick out of bounds. But you know, Nebraska has not played well at home all year long. Played great against Missouri, but
what has happened as long as the QB is not 100%, and they've got a bigger hill to maneuver. And with the penalty out of bounds by O'Hara, they're going to get the ball at the 40-yard line.
And Colorado all of a sudden has something to play for. They win that game, they become bowl eligible. So now it's a 6-3 A&M leading over Nebraska, and I think everyone just assumed that part of the conference was decided, but not so fast.
Griffin cuts it up the middle and is going to be tackled after a gain of 14 yards. Quentin Carter, the free safety, had to grab him by the shoulders and bring him down.
And Travis Lewis, linebacker, one of the leaders of that defense.
Arkansas just defeated Mississippi State in double overtime, I've just been told. Keeping you up to date on other scores.
And I would think as this thing rolls over to the fourth quarter, we're going to see the Oklahoma bench empty.
Yeah.
Because I would think Bob Stoops is over there going, okay, I don't need guys like Travis Lewis being injured with Bedlam coming up next week.
He didn't need anybody.
No.
I mean, that's not in the plan.
No.
And actually, it's one of those things where, you know, do you line it up? If you're Oklahoma and just try to run every play that you possibly can, you know, get Clay a lot of experience. Yep, somebody moved.
On the offense, number 59, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Danny Watkins, who also has been invited to play in that
Senior Bowl.
Under Armour Senior Bowl down in Mobile, Alabama. Been down there many times, and it is a practice session the week before that really is fun to watch because you can really find out. They do special drills for the pro coaches. They'll do half-line scrimmage, one-on-one, you know, as far as offensive lineman, defensive lineman. It's the only
all-star game that the practice stinks. I mean, it's really hard. You go play in any of the other ones, and it's kind of patty cake through the week. But when you go to the Senior Bowl and you're coached by NFL guys with scouts everywhere,
let me tell you this.
You better bring your helmet and be ready to buckle.
I also think they make more money for guys who are unheralded and unheard of because they get a chance to move up in the draft. And that's exactly what a lot of them do. Is that play is going to go for about 5 yards. That's Salubi, tackled by Ronell Lewis. That is the end of the third quarter. So we will take a break. Oklahoma 53-10 as we head to the final 15. Well, I'm sure you recognize the sound. That of course it's a female bear. That is Joy. And anyway, the guys shot that yesterday out on campus, which is where their habitat is set up. As we start the fourth quarter, down by 43, you know, Baylor, what do? You
just pull out all the stops. Just keep trying to have some fun and let this guy run. That never hurts.
Griffin Going to cut it back to the sideline and very wisely then stepping out of bounds. And if you're Oklahoma, I guess just what you proposed just before the end of the third quarter, and that is play all those new faces that you brought down here so everybody goes home with a dirty uniform.
Well, and Bob Stoops told us on the phone this is the best freshman class he has ever had. And so now you start to get them some real time. Even some of the guys who haven't been playing regularly, some of those young guys, this is invaluable going into the offseason to be able to get some guys some quality playing time.
Ganaway is the ball carrier and tackled by Tony Jefferson. Tony, a true freshman for the Oklahoma Sooners.
Good game for Jefferson. Remember, he had that takeaway interception at the end of the half when it looked like Brad Taylor had gone up to catch it.
From the 12-yard line, Griffin hands it off to Ganaway, spins off one tackler, and is going to be hit now and knocked forward by Stacy McGee. And let's see, they're going to spot him down just inside the 8-yard line.
McGee, a young man, just a sophomore. And it was interesting talking to Brent Venables. He was saying that Jamarcus McFarland has played a little bit in his head this year. And he said McGee, as a freshman, went through the same thing last year, but has really turned into a fluid guy there in the middle.
Ganaway, I beg your pardon, Salubi was the ball carrier. And that was Ronald Lewis making the stop. Glad to see him back on the field as he had to be taken off earlier in the ball game.
That was a nice interception he had on that zone blitz.
Yeah, scored the touchdown.
The second half.
Griffin's going to keep it. Boy, does he get punished. That was Tom Wharton, who came over the top to hit him and knock him down hard. Part of a double team tackle. Lewis was the man who was on the bottom. You get to see it again right here.
Ward does a nice job of fighting off the block. Got to be careful there. And the guy spins and going up high like that. But Ward does have amazing instincts. When he got off that block, he knew exactly where to find the ball.
So it is 4th down and trailing by 43 points. Obviously, Baylor's going to go for it. They need to take it to the 2-yard line to keep the drive alive. Ball pitched back, Ganaway. Salupi, I beg your pardon, and he will score the touchdown.
And this matters for Baylor, to be able to score, start to feel a little better about yourself. They played themselves into a bowl game for the first time since the mid-90s. Take a little momentum with a good offensive drive into your offseason, which is starting, the time between the bowls starting a little earlier than most.
Aaron Jones with the extra point attempt is up and good. Let's take a break. 53-17 our new score. So the big stat in this one, when you look at the scoreboard, the scoring by period 21-13-19 and nothing here in the early going of the fourth quarter for Oklahoma. 7-3-7 for the Baylor Bears. Landry Jones, the numbers on him, 325. DeMarco Murray, 182 total yards, 2 touchdowns. And Robert Griffin, it's been a difficult night as far as the 2 pickoffs. This kick coming down to the goal line, and it's going to be Clay. Clay up the sideline is going to take it near the 40. Wendy Nix, what do you got for us this time?
Ron, thank you. Mississippi State kicked a field goal to force overtime, but can't pull it off. Double overtime. Ryan Mallett, Denial Davis, and Arkansas wins 38-31. The final in double overtime.
Okay, Wendy, Arkansas is, I guess you'd say, the record holder as far as number of overtimes that they've won in. a 7 overtime, and I think it was a 6 overtime we had against Tennessee a few years back, as Drew Allen comes into the ball game at tailback. And he hands it off to Finch, and Finch almost knocks one of his own linemen right on his keister. Wow. Quarterback profile on Drew Allen. Hometown San Antonio, as I mentioned earlier, played at Alamo Heights High School.
I went down before the game to watch the quarterbacks warm up. I like to see their throwing motion, and Allen, a big guy at 6'5", 232, runs pretty well for his size, but I just like to see the arm from field level, and as you would suspect, he's got a pretty lively one. Ball comes out of his hand very nicely.
He's 6'5", 232. Steps up, drills this one, and that's going to be to Stills, and he will pick up the first down. And beg your pardon, Brandon Caleb, the senior out of Richmond, Virginia.
And there you saw a ball get there on a line.
So let's draw the line on Landry Jones, 26 of 39, 325, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception.
I think the part that's going to bother him is in that red zone. He had a couple of inaccurate throws. The one that he kind of threw up for grabs. There's always something to grow on, even when you score 53 points.
So they move the sticks, and here goes Finch. And Finch is going to be stopped. Well, the ball is loose, and they're still fighting for it. And the officials, what are we going to say? Baylor football. Baylor has recovered at the 48-yard line.
Well, and just a helmet to helmet, and it was just the defender did a good job getting his pads down, but watch the helmet of Finch. Yep, they just went helmet to helmet.
That's Dixon, who was there on the hit.
Yeah.
And very quickly, the medical staff for Oklahoma out on the field to take a look at Roy Finch. Let's take a break.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. And AT&T.
Well, the graphics team is responsible for everything that you read on the screen during the game when we're doing it. And the operators are Mike Kirby and John McCoy. And the graphics producers are Andy Osofsky and Clint Herod. And these guys do a really, really good job. But just always remember one thing, that if there's anything misspelled, it was not Ed and it was not me.
Yeah, and as they still tend to young running back Roy Finch, let's take a look back at the hit by Dixon just to make sure, you know, this is not targeting. This is not trying to go after the defensive player. Just sometimes when two guys start coming together and you get Dixon trying to get below the pads of Finch, it's a natural human reaction to duck your head. And because of the force that Finch runs with, you know, Dixon's just kind of standing there, and that helmet-to-helmet contact, it's just one of the unfortunate things. You know, you can't make a rule to change that, because when those guys start coming together, it's just such a natural thing for their heads to come down, and it's just unfortunate that Finch took the worst of it.
Well, he's sitting up now, which is really good news. Nice applause coming from everybody in this stadium right now for the young man. He has been very, very impressive tonight. Really nice sportsmanship on the part of, you see the Oklahoma fans applauding, but the Baylor fans are applauding as well when they saw this young man get up and move under his own power. hard hits is one thing, but nobody comes to the game to see people get hurt. And anyway, Finch will be helped to the bench. A charter plane for the Oklahoma Sooners going to leave shortly after this ball game is over and head back to Norman. And I'm sure they will have him checked over completely before he leaves the stadium tonight, though. A pump by Griffin, now going to run it. And tackled in the open field. This shows you the speed and athleticism of the Oklahoma secondary, because normally when Griffin gets in an open field like that, he's got a path he can take. You don't do that. The Sooners just seem to, they break down and they wait to see whose zone he's coming into.
And Hurst has really started to play well in the back half of the season. A couple of first-year starters at corner for Oklahoma. He and Fleming have really stepped up their game.
Ganaway keeps it on the ground. I think he will have the first down as we get one more look at Finch on the sideline.
That was one of the big question marks coming into the season for Oklahoma, was 2 new starting corners, but both Hurst and Fleming, and of course with some of the younger guys starting to step up, Aaron Colvin and Tony Jefferson.
Colvin from Owasso, Oklahoma. Not a real big town, and the coaches say he was not that highly rated as far as the services. And the head coach said, I'm glad the services can miss it from time to time. I said, in other words, there can be a diamond in the rough. He said, you bet there can. We got several upon this freshman team. Salubi heading for the end zone, and he's going to score. Salubi will take that one from about 38 yards for the touchdown. Salubi showing maybe a lot better speed than some thought he had.
We didn't quite see this much speed on film. Nice cut. Maybe a little bit of a hold there in the middle on Casey Walker, but did not get called. And as an ex-offensive lineman, it's not holding unless it gets called.
Aaron Jones with the extra point attempt kicks it up and through. Let's take a break. 9:28 left. 53-24. Welcome back to Waco. 53-24 as the Bears get on the scoreboard again here in the fourth quarter. 9:28 left to play. Aaron Jones prepares to kick it off. You may have to hurry to beat that wrapper blowing toward the football. Timeout was called by Oklahoma.
Before the ball was kicked, timeout, Oklahoma. First charge in the second half.
Well, a reminder, I know you're all going to be watching tomorrow because it all comes down to the final race of the season, the championship on the line in a winner-take-all battle between Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, and Kevin Harvick for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship with the Ford 400 in Homestead, Miami. Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown at noon on ESPN2.
And of those 3, Jimmy Johnson qualified above all of them with Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin. Of course, that matters because as you read the bottom there.
Where did he qualify?
Not just about.
On the pole?
Yeah. No, they just in that order. Because
I'm sorry.
Laps led, yeah.
Parks with the kickoff, and this one's going to send the return man 4 yards deep, and he will not bring it out. That's Franks. So we get an opportunity to see Drew Allen at quarterback again.
Well, and you start to see some backups on the offensive line. Ladnoy coming in at tackle. Lee Pack comes in at guard. Lee Pack probably comes in at center this time. He was getting some time at guard, but we talked to Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator, about all the depth they get up front. This is key for those guys as well as the specialists.
Pass in the flat to Broyles. Broyles up the sideline, finally knocked out of bounds at the 40-yard line. We understand that A&M has just kicked a field goal with 3 minutes left to play, and they're up 9-6 over Nebraska, down in College Station.
That would be 2 ranked teams in a row that A&M would knock off at home. Of course, Oklahoma 2 weeks ago, they beat at home. And how much different is that team A&M with the change at quarterback?
This is Madu.
A little nuanced thing there by the senior Madu, even though the clock runs when you go out of bounds now when you're above 2 minutes, but you still knock another 4, 5, 6 seconds off the clock because it never stops to set the ball back into the field.
2nd and 12.
Allen comes out from under center, looking over at the sideline for the change in play. And Taylor makes the tackle on Moses Madu, and it's going to be a loss of about a half a yard on the play, so it'll be 3rd down. They got to take this thing out to the 50-yard line, or the Baylor Bears get it back and another opportunity to score in the 4th quarter. Drew Allen anxious to get the ball in play, but now one of the things you got to learn as an experienced quarterback, there's still 10 seconds on the play clock. So don't give the opposition 7 or 8 seconds, and the ball is batted down at the line of scrimmage. Knocked down, is that Jean-Baptiste or Phil Taylor?
I believe that was Phil Taylor.
Yeah, it was Phil Taylor.
And Taylor worked so hard during the offseason. He had gotten up to almost 360 pounds coming into his senior year. Good push. Got himself down about 15 or 20 pounds, and coaches talked about his commitment and leadership. And we already mentioned going to the Senior Bowl. He could go a long way to helping his future if he can perform well under the eyes of those NFL coaches.
Tressway's kick, fair catch called for and made at the 21-yard line. Let's take a break. 53-24 Oklahoma. So we are back. One of the signs here in the stands this evening at the Floyd Casey Stadium. This building is 60 years old. And as we told you, we showed you the video of the possible location. They're looking at maybe building another one on campus. This pass to Kendall Wright. And Wright is stopped out at the 30-yard line.
Kendall, just a junior. And I think you look around this conference going into next year. Baylor, obviously, Robert Griffin comes back. Kendall Wright, a good offensive line with only one senior. And of the 10 teams, I think Baylor's going to be on that upper half next season. 8-9 wins for sure.
Tevin Reese out in the flat makes the reception. Picks up the first down as he moves it to the 35-yard line. Clock now is under 7 minutes. 6 minutes, 52 seconds remaining.
Much better second half. And they have been a team of two halves the last 3 ball games. They scored 30 in the first half last week against A&M, 0 in the second half the week before against Oklahoma State, 28 in the first half, 0 in the second half, and kind of the same deal tonight.
Griffin got a man down there, and it is knocked down at the 10-yard line on a deep retrieve by DeMontre Hurst. Wow.
Well, and it was only because Griffin had to scramble that he couldn't get the throw off in time, and Hurst had time to recover because Lanier Sampson was running free down the sideline, but Griffin had to get out of harm's way before he could let that ball go. Hung up there a little bit, and Hurst was able to recover.
This one's complete at the 38. Wow, Josh Gordon turned for a flip when he was tackled. Kind of interesting to see a guy that size go over like he was a smaller kid at 6'3", 220. He really got...
Well, Ibeloy was smart. Man, that big, running that fast, I'm not taking him head-to-head. I'm going to submarine him.
Yep, it was wise. Scrambling for his life, gets out of the pocket, and now runs out of bounds. And we understand, just as the play started happening, that the Aggies have upset Nebraska tonight down in College Station, 9-6. Not a touchdown scored in this one, my friend.
So Cornhusker fans can hold off on buying their tickets to the Big 12 championship game. And they host Colorado at home next week for the last time in what has been a great rivalry over the years. As both Colorado and Nebraska are leading the conference.
You know, we've done that game the last couple of years, and the finishes have been very close and very good.
And Colorado's got a lot to play for. They're still looking to become bowl eligible.
Salubi gets the feet taken out from under him. And the Big 12 North standings. So Nebraska now is 5-2, 9-2 overall. Missouri 4-2. And then K-State, who was beaten today by Colorado.
And so Missouri sitting there with their game against Kansas, neutral site in Kansas City. Nebraska gets beat, of course. Nebraska owns the head-to-head over Missouri because they beat them at home, so they go if they both stay with 2 losses. But
well, the pass to Sampson, and he's still fighting his way. Knocked out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Good for the first down.
And of course, in the South, if you end up with the 3-way tie,
Quentin Carter, I don't know if his shoulder or his wrist, but he is signaling to the bench, and the referee has just seen it. He was signaling to the bench, I need to come off. And I'll tell you, the way he's not using the left arm, it may be the left shoulder.
Yeah, the way he's dragging that arm, it sure looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And it, as we talked about earlier, with Bedlam this coming week, the game in Stillwater, last thing in the world that Bob Stoops wants to see is a long first aid list.
And we already saw Finch.
He's got 10 tackles tonight, 8 solo, and 1 tackle for a loss.
And we already saw Finch, the fine young running back who had the amazing arm down touchdown earlier, had a touchdown run last week against Texas Tech of 29 yards. So too many people in that training room tomorrow getting ready for the Cowboys.
This is Martin, Glasgow Martin, the ball carrier. Young man that we did not have on the depth chart, did not expect to see him this evening. Does a nice job of picking up about 5 yards in the play. He enjoyed it so much he wanted to go back out. The coach said, not now, you're a little late here. They're already set to run the play. Griffin, how he got out of that, I don't know. He's going to scramble and come out of bounds on the near sideline at the 34. Frank Alexander is the man who gave him a shove to get him out of bounds. Well, going to come back. Hold on the play.
Well, a tough night for Art Briles. But, you know, visiting with him yesterday, he had an interesting take on what type of team they are and what type of team they have to be. He said, we play so many white-collar teams. And I believe he was referring to Oklahoma, Texas A&M. He said, we have to be blue-collar. Nothing comes easy for us. We just have to continue working. And as tough as this loss is, they've had a nice season, and you can tell that he is starting to get the type of program together that he wants.
Getting closer. You're exactly right. A pass thrown complete to Sampson, turns it upfield, and he's going to have about 7 yards in the play. Now, you got to understand one thing. You were talking about all the people coming back. Griffin actually has 2 years of eligibility left because of the hardship he got last year with the medical. So, you know, that's about as good a nucleus, I think, as you can find.
And 4 of your 5 offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Almost all of your receivers. You lose Jay Finley, and he's awfully good.
For the end zone, incomplete. Sampson diving and could not get to it. Sunday night, catch the latest exclusive unveiling of the new BCS rankings. Coverage of the BCS Countdown presented by Tostitos begins on ESPN tomorrow, 6 Eastern, and it continues at 8:15 on Eastern. For more information, be sure to log on to ESPN.com. Clock under 3 minutes now, 2:53. Griffin, he just throws it away. And I think he's going to be legal. He was outside the tackle and he threw it beyond the line of scrimmage, but he had to heave it to get it beyond the line of scrimmage. That was Washington who was applying the pressure.
And the head linesman and the referee get together to talk about it, but I think you give him the benefit of the doubt. Well, and Baylor's going to go to 0 for 20 lifetime against Oklahoma. But you get the sense with what Art Briles and the energy that he brings that that's not going to last. Although I don't know about next year because Oklahoma's going to be awfully good. Talking about guys returning. All these true freshmen. Landry Jones.
The pitch goes to Clay. Brendan Clay is going to be stopped after a gain of about 5. Here are the numbers on Griffin. It's a season low for him. 164 passing yards at TCU, and tonight 124. So you got to give credit to the Oklahoma defense, the Oklahoma coaching staff, and how they prepared their kids.
And the only concern that they really had coming in on defense was in the middle of that defensive line because they'd lost Taylor and Noble. But, you know, I'm sure they're going to find some things to nitpick when they go to film. But there was an awful lot of penetration. Jay Fenley had the hardest time getting going between the tackles, and I thought that's where they were going to be able to attack him. And that's John Nemo now in at quarterback, senior, who was the backup last year to Landry Jones and Sam Bradford while they were trying to get a redshirt year for Drew Allen.
Clock runs at 1:25 left in this one. Nemo pitches the ball back, and it's Clay. And Clay is one of those speedy guys that you can see him, he like puts it in glide, then all of a sudden, pow, explodes. Well, Ed, there are the updated numbers after today.
And of course, Texas A&M stays in the hunt, but as we heard from Brad Edwards, in a three-way tie scenario, it will go, if Oklahoma were to beat Oklahoma State next week, it's a three-way tie where Oklahoma State has beaten A&M has beaten Oklahoma, Oklahoma has beaten Oklahoma State, so it goes all the way down to the BCS. And Brad Edwards not sure that A&M can overcome Oklahoma in the BCS.
That's Madhu.
And so Oklahoma, if they are to win next week against Oklahoma State, but that's a big if. And Ron, you and I got to see Oklahoma State. That is an explosive group. I think next weekend in Stillwater is going to be a game for the ages. I think that both of these offenses are going to be amazing.
I don't think there's any question. And the guys from Stillwater are a good enough football team that they got to be thinking, you know what? Not only are we in position, but we get it at our place for a change. And, you know, we are totally in control. It is up to us. Just don't louse it up, you know? Clock goes to double zeros. And our crew next Friday afternoon, we will be in Lincoln, Nebraska, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central, as Nebraska and Colorado will play for the last time against each other as members of the same conference. Once again, our final score, Oklahoma 53 and Baylor 24. Coming up next, college football scoreboard.